Tell us, what do you have to say, sir?
I mean, Matthew, it would appear to me that you enjoy putting me in these moral quandaries because you're asking me kind of questions that, on one side, conflict with my personal morality, and then on the other side, conflict with my training as a hard-nosed academic. So
this is why this is why these questions are interesting, isn't it?
Of course. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you didn't bring me on here to hear about my own personal family context, but what I'm about to say does actually provide interesting context for kind of the analysis that follows, because Tony Blair single-handedly almost is responsible for devastating the heritage of two sides of my children's heritage. I'm Iraqi, their mother's from Gaza, and we all know his role in both of those conflicts. So what I'm about to say may interest some people, but he does have a point. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that I like the guy at all, I despise him. He ought to stand trial in The Hague. He's a war criminal as far as I'm concerned, who only got away with it because of him being the British Prime Minister.
So why is he right to criticise Keir Starmer here? You've got me interested.
Exactly. Here's the moral quandary, right? So with Keir Starmer, look, international politics, just like national level or international economic matters, don't function. States are a unique beast. They don't function like regular humans do. So you often hear, when people are complaining about the state of the economy, well, how hard could it be? I don't spend as much as I earn, and I manage to balance my books. But a state doesn't work that way, right? Similarly, when we're looking at the modern political context, which is in large part, by the way, Tony Blair's fault again, due to the Iraq war, the debacle in Afghanistan, and so on. But the current state of play of the world is that we're shifting from a unipolar, American-led, rules-based world order to one of considerably more volatility, chaos, and alliances and blocs, right? So what did the UK do in 2016? It voted for Brexit, right? That's up to people how they vote, of course. Yeah. Everyone has a right for that. But we have to kind of take what comes with that. So when you detach yourself from a large political and economic bloc like the EU, you limit your options. And speaking as a hard-nosed academic, when I'm looking at Britain's situation, it has to choose whose side it's on, because, you'll often see people complaining, Britain used to rule the world, and now we're running away from conflicts.
I'm starting to see where you're going with this. Carry on, Tallha.
Yeah, so people are complaining all the time, we used to, rule the world. Yes, but you don't anymore. That's the issue. You don't rule the world anymore. You're punching well above your weight by being on the UN Security Council, but, unfortunately, or fortunately as the case may be, Britain is no longer the power that it was. So it has to pick a side. It cannot pick Iran's side for obvious reasons. Yes. Similarly, it cannot snub the United States because it's really the only, quote unquote ally willing to listen to them. And with the detachment from the EU, they don't have much leverage. So when Donald Trump comes knocking on your door and says, listen, I'm about to bomb Iran, I don't care what your moral quandaries may be about it. I don't care what you think about the international legal aspects. I just want you to send an aircraft carrier, possibly, or allow us to use your bases. You cannot be like Keir Starmer and flip-flop. So you're either in or you're out. And if you're out, you better have alternatives. In Keir Starmer's position, what he did was to say, no, we're not going to allow you to use our bases to bomb Iran, which angered Trump. He went and bombed Iran anyway. And then when the Iranians retaliated and hit a British base in Exeter in Cyprus, all of a sudden, Keir Starmer was like, okay, then this is kind of a casus belli, a cause of war. Yes. We better get involved, right? But it ends up making you look weak, indecisive, and frankly, just someone who's like a camp follower.
If I was to do the great disservice of reducing your argument to some kind of single sentence, is it that we have to choose a side and we should choose the United States? We have no other choice.
It's not a case that I think we should choose the United States. My personal view was that Britain should have stayed inside the European Union.
Yes, but that's gone. So
exactly, that's gone. So if the UK was to say no to Trump, how is it going to, in the short space of time between saying no to Trump and him attacking Iran, how is it going to come up with alternatives? That's the issue.
You've got me thinking. So that's no bad thing. As a hard-nosed academic, that's exactly what you should be doing. You've got me thinking. I don't think I agree, but I will be reflecting on what you've said on my very long journey home, because I've just realised I'm on a replacement bus service to Devon. Dr. Tallha Abdulrazaq, pleasure talking to you as usual, and you've got me thinking.
We offered to send 2 aircraft carriers, maybe, but they're not sure. I just put out a response to them. I said, we don't need them. It's not the right time. It would have been nice to have had them 2 weeks ago.
The Prime Minister has insisted he's taking decisions in the national interest. Missile strikes have continued across the Middle East throughout the night. An oil depot in the Iranian capital Tehran was hit by an Israeli military strike, sending thick black smoke across the city. In Kuwait, 2 border guards have been killed as the country was hit by a barrage of missiles and drones, while 3 people have been wounded in Bahrain from shrapnel after a missile attack. In Lebanon, aid agencies are warning of a deepening humanitarian crisis as Israel intensifies strikes targeting Hezbollah. Thousands have fled their homes, with shelters quickly filling up across the country. Oxfam's Elena Malouk says many displaced families are struggling to access things they need to survive.
People are facing reduced access to basic necessities, to services. We also expect the country to run out of fuel as well. And this is very concerning for Oxfam and partners on the ground.